Hello, hi everyone. In today's video, we are going to learn about C# arrays and collection basics. So, what are arrays in C#? Arrays are nothing but they are containers that hold a group of items which are of the same type together. So, when do we use arrays? Arrays we use when we want to store and work with a list of items. Like we wanted to have a collection of numbers, collection of names. So in that case, we use arrays. So we have different type of arrays in C#. One is single dimensional array, which is like a single row of boxes, like a list of 5 student scores. And then we have multi-dimensional array. It is just like a table which contains both rows and columns. Example is a classroom seating chart, like where student sits in rows as well as in columns. That is multi-dimensional array. And then we have jagged array. So jagged array is nothing but it's an array of array. It's like an array where each row can have different number of columns, right? So example is different classes, each with a different number of students. So these are the three type of arrays in C#. So why do we use them? To store lots of similar items together, right? And once we have the data inside arrays, we can easily access those items by the position. Position in the sense through the index. So we also have collections in C#. So when we don't know how many number of items we wanted to store, then in that case, instead of array, we can go ahead with collections. Because collections, we need not to define any fixed size. So in that case, we can go with collections. So in short, arrays will help us organize and manage group of similar data in our programs so that our code will be cleaner and easier to work with. So we'll go by one single dimensional array. So as I mentioned, a single dimensional array is like a row of boxes where each box holds a value. You can see that I have declared numbers array of integers, which is going to hold 5 integers. Okay. So the first integer will be 10, second will be 20 and so on. Okay. So the usage will be like you can see here, we have days array of strings where we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And if you want to access the value of this Tuesday, then how do you access it? You access it via index. What is the index of Tuesday? It is 1. As I mentioned earlier, the index starts with 0. So if you want to access Monday, you will have to access days of 0. So as you mentioned days of 1, then Tuesday will be printed here. Okay, like that you have to access the array elements. And then we have multi-dimensional arrays. These are nothing but just like a table where we have rows and columns. Okay. So the syntax will be something like this. So the notation to declare multi-dimensional array is to use comma here. So this indicates that matrix is a multi-dimensional array. You are initializing it with 2 rows and 3 columns. The first one indicates rows, second one indicates columns. So in real life example, we can see that it's a seating arrangement where we have 2 values in the first row and 2 values in the second row. And if you want to access this value, Carol, what you do? The first one is a 0th row and second one is a first row. I mean index wise. So if you want to access this Carol, then what you have to do? You have to access it via seating of 1, 0. So row will be 1. One row means this one and 0th value, nothing but this one. So output will be Carol. So this is the way you will access the values in multi-dimensional array. And then you have jagged arrays. Jagged arrays are nothing but it's an array of arrays where each row can have multiple number of columns. So you can see the example here. We are declaring a jagged array. Jagged array can be declared with 2 square brackets. I mean, it's an array of array. So students jagged array. So we are declaring it with 2 rows. First row contains 2 values. Second row contain only 1 value. Okay. Suppose if you want to access any value here, you have to access it via index. So right now we are trying to access students of 0, 1. 0 means first row. This is the first row. And 1 means second row. This is the second row. I mean, this is the column, right? So column nothing but first one, nothing but John. So this will be printed. In summary, single dimensional is nothing but it's a row structure. Multi-dimensional is nothing but it's a table kind of structure. Jagged array is array of arrays. So next coming to collections. So far we dealt with arrays, right? So they have fixed size. So when you don't know what should be the size of your collection, then it's better we go ahead with the collections because arrays have fixed size. But for flexible size, we can use collections. We need not to declare any size. Okay. So here in the example, you can see that we are just initializing scores as a list. List is nothing but it's a collection. And you can see we are not defining any size here. It is not a fixed size. It's a dynamic size. You can increase it as long as you want. So here I am adding two scores with add function, right? First we are adding 90 and then 85. We can keep on adding it. Okay. So this is very flexible in nature, right? Yeah. So in summary, we can go ahead with single dimensional arrays for simple list. And for multi-dimensional array, whenever we want a table structure, like having rows and columns, we go ahead with multi-dimensional. And whenever we want to store multiple number of elements under each row, then jagged arrays will be useful. And for dynamic and resizable data, we will go ahead with collections. So these are the basics of arrays and collections. For more detailed explanation, I will be covering them in the upcoming videos. So thanks for watching.